Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are talking about how an ancient warrior's mindset is, believe it or not, becoming the single most important survival tool for modern leaders. Now, forget about wellness fads. This isn't about that. We're talking about a fundamental operating system upgrade for your mind, one that's designed for high stakes, high pressure decision making. The typical reaction when you bring up Zen in a boardroom is, well, skepticism. You can just hear it, right? Meditation in the middle of a business day? Come on, that's some fluffy wellness trend. It's a total waste of time when we should be executing. It's seen as this passive thing you do to relax, completely at odds with corporate strategy. But what if that whole picture is wrong? What if the true face of Zen isn't a peaceful monk, but a hyper-focused warrior? And then, of course, someone points to a guy like Steve Jobs, and the dismissal comes right back. Oh, that was just his eccentric billionaire hobby. It's not a real, replicable business strategy. But what if that famous quote, his entire philosophy of simplicity, wasn't just a personal preference? What if it was actually the result of some incredibly intense, disciplined mental training? Because, well, it absolutely was. The origin of Jobs' famous minimalism wasn't some design school. It came from his deep, soul-searching relationship with a Soto Zen priest named Kobun Chino Otogawa. And look, this wasn't some casual mentorship. Otogawa was his spiritual advisor for years. He even presided over Jobs' wedding. It got so serious that at one point, Jobs was actually planning to move to Japan to become a monk at the Eiheiji Monastery. And this, right here, is the crucial point. It was his Zen master, Otogawa, who told him to stay. He convinced him that his true calling wasn't in a monastery, it was right in the heart of the business world. The discipline he learned wasn't about escaping reality, but about engaging with it more deeply, more profoundly. So Apple's whole design philosophy, that single button, the clean lines, that was a direct result of the Zen practice. It was a rigorous spiritual exercise in stripping away everything that wasn't essential, just to reveal the absolute core function. This wasn't decoration, it was the foundational OS for Apple's entire strategy. Still, you can hear the skeptic pushing back. Okay, fine for a designer like Jobs maybe, but Zen is about passive navel-gazing. It's totally useless in a real crisis. This might be the single most dangerous misconception out there, because historically, Zen wasn't for the peaceful. It was for those who lived on the razor's edge of life and death, the samurai. To really get why, you need to understand this concept, Fudōshin. This is the mental state a samurai was trying to achieve when facing death in battle. It literally translates to immovable mind or unmoving heart. Now, it's not about being emotionless or robotic. It's a state of profound calm, where your mind is like a clear mirror, reflecting everything exactly as it is, without being distorted by fear or panic. This was their ultimate psychological weapon. And this isn't some mystical mumbo-jumbo. It is a battle-tested technique for supreme mental resilience. Think about it. When a crisis hits, an enemy's sword is flashing towards you, the untrained mind just panics. It freezes, and it's over. But the mind trained in Fudōshin, it remains stable. It lets you observe what's happening without emotional distortion, leading to decisive, clear-headed action when milliseconds are all you have. So, what's the modern leader's battlefield? It's a sudden market crash, a devastating product failure, a crippling corporate scandal. These are the moments that break companies and ruin careers. Fudōshin is the mental armor that allows a leader to stand firm in that chaos, to cut through all the noise, and to make the critical decisions that literally ensure survival. It is the ultimate crisis management tool. Okay, but what about innovation? The common argument is that a leader's greatest asset is their deep expertise, right? All those years of accumulated knowledge. And an empty mind just sounds like a liability, not an advantage. But Zen philosophy argues that the exact opposite is true. This famous quote from Shunryu Suzuki really gets to the heart of it. The Zen concept of Shoshin, or beginner's mind, is the ultimate antidote to corporate arrogance. See, the expert mind becomes rigid. It gets trapped by its own success, its own past patterns. It literally can no longer see disruptive possibilities. A beginner's mind, on the other hand, is open. It's curious. It's free from all those preconceived notions. And that is the true source of breakthrough innovation. This idea of emptiness being a creative force, it's beautifully illustrated by the concept of ma. In a lot of Western thinking, empty space is just a vacuum that needs to be filled with meanings, with tasks, with more data. But in Zen, ma is the active space between things. It's the silence between musical notes that actually creates the melody. For a leader, ma is the deliberately unscheduled time where strategic intuition is actually born. Without it, you just have noise and burn. And this philosophy, it goes way beyond just having a clean desk. These principles of Zen aesthetics are actually incredibly powerful product strategies. I mean, take Kanso, or simplicity. That's Apple's entire ethos, right? That relentless drive to remove everything unessential. Or how about Datsuzuku? It means freedom from convention. That's the courage to remove the headphone jack or the floppy drive, defying what everyone expects to push the future forward. These are not just design terms. They are philosophical strategies that allow brands like Apple and Muji to create products that connect with us on a deep, emotional level. Okay, so this brings us to the ultimate modern challenge. I want you to imagine it's 2026. How does any leader possibly process the infinite flood of information being generated by AI? How do you make a single good decision when you are literally drowning in inputs? The Zen answer is another radical shift, Mushin, or no mind. Now, this isn't an empty mind, but it's a mind that is free from the constant chatter of analysis and overthinking. And what's amazing is that modern neuroscience actually has a name for this, the flow state. In this new era, a leader's job is no longer to gather more information, it's to protect their clarity of mind by achieving this state. And now we can actually see the science behind it. When you enter a flow state, activity in your brain's overthinking CEO, the prefrontal cortex, it quiets way down. And this allows your intuitive expert, the basal ganglia, to take over. This part of the brain processes information and spots patterns at a speed that is physically impossible for your slow, logical mind. It's literally the neuroscience behind that gut feeling that so many great leaders have to rely on. So the crucial point is this. In an age of infinite information, the most valuable and decisive leadership skill is the ability to protect your silence. It's all about cutting through that digital fog to access a deeper, faster, and more intuitive level of decision-making. Silicon Valley's obsession with minimalism, it's not just an aesthetic, it's a survival strategy for the human brain. So the takeaway here is clear. Zen isn't a retreat from the world. It's a powerful, battle-tested operating system that's designed to help you engage with complexity more effectively. From crisis management all the way to breakthrough innovation, it provides the mental tools you need to thrive under pressure. Which brings us to the final takeaway. In a world just saturated with notifications, alerts, and endless streams of data, we have to ask a really fundamental question about our priorities, both as leaders and just as thinkers. Your most valuable asset is your silence. In a world that is constantly screaming for your attention, the ability to find and protect silence is the ultimate luxury, and it's the ultimate strategic advantage. It is the raw material from which clarity, creativity, and courageous decisions are made. And so, this explainer ends not with a neat summary, but with a direct and personal challenge. This isn't about becoming a monk or retreating to a mountain. It's about one simple, concrete action. The first step in your OS upgrade starts right here.